Kelly, thanks for saving my seat.
Oh. You can stay back there. They look like they're Ray, what do you think?
I think we're ready.
Rock and roll. Look at that. 6 p.m. Wednesday, March 9th, 2022, in the Sunapee Middle High School Gymnasium. Call the Sunapee School District meeting to order. We start a roll call with Mrs. Gear over there. Bring it around the horn. Go for it.
Tara Gear, Director of Student Services.
Walt Houston, Principal of Sunapee Central Elementary School.
Sean Money, Principal, Sunapee Middle High School.
Readiness, Assistant Principal, Sunapee Middle High School.
Joe Messenger, Student Representative.
At Anderson School Board.
Terry McCall, School Board.
Scott Ritzman, School Board.
Jesse Tyler, School Board.
Russ Holden, Superintendent.
Kelly Wessels, Business Administrator.
Let's allegiance, please. Drive.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board reorganization. This starts a new year, so we gotta reset the table. Nomination for chair.
I'll make the nomination for chair. Jesse.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Andy Nichols is traveling. I think this is like the first or second meeting he's missed in 3 years of service, so just he won't be here tonight for our enormous audience that's wondering where Andy is. He's well and traveling. All right, all in favor of me as chair for 22, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right. Nomination for vice chair.
I'll make a nomination for Scott Ritzman.
I'll second.
How do you feel about this? Not so funny now when it's you and not you. All right, all in favor of Scott Bristman as vice chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Committee assignments. I make a motion to continue with the same committee assignments as prior board.
I'll second your motion.
Any jockeying or trading that you guys want to do? All in favor of sustaining the committee assignments, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We want to look at the, Ray's working on the sound, everybody be patient. Welcome, Sam. We were looking at, I needed a motion to approve the minutes of the February 2nd school board meeting, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the February 2nd school board meeting.
I'll second.
All right, seconded for discussion. Any changes or corrections? I say this every time, but I mean it every time. It's very nice to have the quality of notes that we do, so it's rare. I think twice last year we had one liner addendum each time. So all in favor of approving the February 2nd meeting, school board meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Gender review, we have,
So just a couple things, just we would like to add, on your agenda, if we could please add under an action item, proposed Sunapee Middle High School extracurricular position,
yeah.
and under informational item, baseball, softball, cake trip.
Softball trip, well, you'll explain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll add it. Proposed extracurricular position on the baseball, softball. I didn't have anything else Well, I didn't have anything. Do you have anything? We're all tired from yesterday. All right, review is done. Public forum. In accordance with policy BEDH, you may go to the microphone on the skier's right, if you're the skier. Sam, John, you're all set? Okay. Thank you for being here and attending, being engaged. School updates. We are looking for, I think we're going to go across this way. Student rep, voice of the students.
Sure. So students have been very tired. It's been very busy since returning from vacation. For the most part, we're glad that the stress of elections is finally over with. For the most part, we've all been very involved with promoting a safer environment for the future high schoolers, future attendees to the school, and we're mostly content with the outcome. Winter sports had a very successful season, and the Nordic ski team is returning from Gorham tonight from their last meet, I believe. And preseason for spring sports, track, baseball, softball has started up, and the athletes have been very busy with getting ready for their season. The track team especially is looking forward to building a new long jump pit by the Sherburne Gym, hopefully starting at the beginning of the season, and it'll be a great addition to the practices. Juniors are pretty nervous for the SAT coming up in 2 weeks. It's been very busy past couple of weeks preparing, and seniors have been busy planning their graduation and getting ready for the end of their school career. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
I don't think we said anything in the last meeting, but I think it hadn't occurred. The boys soccer. The boys alpine ski team is a runner-up. So that was a nice finish with Mr. one more year, I believe, at alpine skiing. So he was pleased with that. Again, one of the things we've been very fortunate to is be able to do trips. And so the 7th and 8th grade, we were able to go to planetarium. We've been able to do a hiking trip. So again, it's feeling each day a little bit more back to normal, which is nice. It has been nice being back. No masks or student optional, certainly masks, and good to see there's mostly smiling faces. We had a college and career readiness fair. Our freshman students went to the CPE Center, visited that to take a look at that. With our sophomores basically doing resume workshops, our juniors were doing SAT prep. So we had a day before February vacation in the morning where a lot of college readiness activities. Our service club put on a successful blood drive. Gathered much more than they anticipated, and we're getting ready for senior project presentations. Back to regular senior project presentations. We didn't have them, or 2 years ago we had to do them totally remotely. Last year we were able to do them, but with limited viewership. This year we're going to have the scholarship dinner beforehand. We're going to have the gallery, and then presentations after that. So we're looking forward to the senior project on that.
Nice. Yeah, senior project's amazing. If people that don't live here will come in and want to check that out, they've heard about it.
It's been a really good few weeks. We feel like we've turned that corner now, where it feels probably as much as it has been the whole time. We're kind of back to business as usual, which I think everybody's really happy to be getting closer to that.
That's great. You might have covered it, but I was making notes. The ski team, is there awards tomorrow? Did I hear that?
High school.
High school sports awards.
Sports
starting at
awards.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Oh, perfect. Awesome. Okay, would have missed that. And then we have a couple of the high school students coming Friday to do a really cool job shadow with a friend Kaylee, an engineer. They're going to get to see some really cool stuff. And then I know Miles is looking for one with biomedical. I don't know if, isn't that kind of do you reach into that? We're trying to connect with Simbex, but they were purchased, so I'm trying to see if we can support that as well.
Mr. Cooney's reaching out to all kinds of people. He works with each student and finds out what they're interested in. And he had me asking friends at dinner last week. So he really tries to reach out and get a network to try to find a job shadow, which is really for all that students.
Yeah.
I'll let you just,
That's great. Yeah, I won't be able to welcome them around. I got a long program, but it'll be nice to know some of these students Friday they're gonna be coming up. Mr. Houston, good evening.
I usually don't read my report, but tonight I feel I need to. For my principal's report, I usually focus on the positive things that happen at the elementary school, like creating Valentine's Day packages for the seniors in town, or dressing like what we would look like at 100 years old for the 100th day of school. But instead, I want to tell you about 3 days that happened at our school and the amazing staff we have. By the way, I also cry very easily, so warning. Although we knew that Mr. Royce, our beloved custodian, was ill and was in the hospital in Boston, we were not prepared for the news of his passing that Wednesday before February break. The week before, we created a crisis plan that would address what would happen if any type of tragedy happened at the school. But as the saying goes, when you make a plan, God laughs. We received news about Mr. Royce's passing at 8:30 that morning and realized we needed to tell the staff as soon as possible. But how do you do it when you have classes still going on? Well, you break the task into small groups and call teachers out one group at a time. With the help of Cindy Lamontage, Dr. Ada Murray, and Natasha Hamill, names you're going to hear a lot during this report, we were able to tell the whole staff within 90 minutes. They were given time to grieve, comfort each other, and pull themselves together to face the students. The hard task would come to tell the students. Again, those 3 amazing ladies went to every classroom and broke the news to them. However, that was only the beginning. Phone calls were made to the New Hampshire Disaster Behavioral Health Response Team, and counselors arrived at the school by noon. The library was turned into Crisis Central, where students could come and talk to someone, draw pictures, comfort their classmates, have snacks, and try to understand the feelings they were having. We even had a therapy dog, a 6-year-old basset hound, named Dexter, who could sing on cue, come and be with the students. Sometimes the feelings were about Mr. Royce, but sometimes the feelings had opened old scars of past pains and experiences, but that was not all. After school, the team met with the staff and processed with them what happened. Then by themselves, the team identified which students and staff members needed follow-up on Thursday. Phone calls and emails were made to parents of those concerned students. The next day, those students and staff members had check-ins for those 3 amazing ladies, and Dexter the dog returned, visiting all of the classrooms. The library continued to be open where students could come and process. Tara Gare made sure that we had plenty of snacks, and lunch was provided to both the staff at the high school and at the elementary school. But that was not it. At the end of the day on Thursday, the team met again to discuss which students needed support and what was needed for Friday. The next morning, we returned to school with a more relaxed day for the students. We wanted to make sure that everyone was ready to leave for break. What was amazing was not that the tragedy did not affect us at the elementary school, but also at the middle high school, as well as life continuing. Cindy and Ada continued to do their jobs, running back and forth, taking care of their students at the middle school, high school, as well as us at the elementary school. I tell you all this not to relive those days, but to share with you what really happened at an elementary school. It can't always be sunny and fun times, but it can be hard, even when you do have camo day, crazy hair day, and tie day. However, we have a staff who cares about the children of this town. And even with their own sorrow and grief, I am so sorry, they were able to find compassion and strength to help our students process something that can't be found in a textbook or any standard to be measured on a state assessment. We have such an amazing staff, and I want to thank them tonight. Thank you.
That's hard to follow. A lot of feelings about Bill. We can start the next meeting with a moment of silence for him. Just wanted to give you guys a chance to talk about him first. But we'll do that together as a community to start the next meeting. Thank you very much for that and putting yourself out there to share it. If you're ready for the superintendent update, please.
Sure. Thank you very much, Walter, for that. Really well said and well stated. Just real quick, superintendent's report. Long day at the polls yesterday. I think overall very favorable for Sunapee School District in pre-K-12 education here in town. Started dealing with the this morning on the project and looking at next steps. CIP committee will be getting together soon, getting a schedule ready so we know what this is going to look like going into springtime, going into summertime, and getting prepared to open next fall. Keeping an eye on legislation, although I've told you several months now there's been a lot of legislation on the table. A lot of that has been sort of shifted aside, put to committee, put aside for now. Some has been sent on to the Senate. We'll continue to keep an eye on things, but it definitely has been tamped down a little bit. There's still some flavor there that's a little uneasy. Folks may have saw the piece of legislation put out by the Commissioner of Education trying to strip down the curriculum in schools, getting rid of art, music, and phys ed and health, and this is some interesting, certainly some interesting times for public ed. COVID, I think, is, we've talked a little bit about it. Folks obviously heard the governor came over, it was the Friday before we went on break, excuse me, the Friday, I guess, when we were on break, lifted the mask requirement. We had communication out to our parents. We spoke with the commissioner on Wednesday. School districts are not allowed, according to the commissioner, are not allowed to put schools into a mask requirement. The only way masks can be put into place at this point in time if they are put in place by public health. And so our numbers right now are minimal in both buildings. I think at this point in time, unless we have a major spike, and I would communicate that in a different way, that weekly COVID report seems to have lost its need at this point in time. Again, if there are some major spike that we would have to call public health, obviously we'll communicate that out to our parents if they have some awareness of what potentially could be going on. But our numbers over the last couple of weeks have been really low.
The board okay with that? I mean, we don't, it's not up, we don't have, local control comes and local control goes, and we don't have any say. So I would say, you know, I support it. I just want to make sure you guys are okay with it. It's not, there's lots of other things for resources to be working on than a report about something we don't control. If it gets bad again, we'll all know immediately. So I think that makes sense.
And just a point of clarity, because I think it's interesting how all this has played out. In our correspondence to films, we talked about ED 306 and how potentially the mask requirement could bump up against students' individual learning needs in ED 306. The commission has been questioned, challenged, if you will, where, and has refused to identify where that is. So at this point in time, there's where COVID is, I think people feel better about. No one certainly is looking to end up in a lawsuit, end up in court. There have been mass cases that were put in the court early this year that were all thrown out of court and gave school boards the right to put their school districts in mass when they thought was appropriate. You were given that responsibility through the department, through the State Board of Education. You have policy that allows that to do that. Again, the commissioners come out with this. It's been somewhat supported by the governor. Thank God we're in a good place where our numbers are low enough, and I think people are comfortable at this point having that option available for parents. But
Yeah.
just interesting on how things have played out and where actually those two things butt together and how they butt together.
Yeah, I think just it's a good time to remind the community that's present or watching that the school board is a bunch of, we're all professionals with full-time jobs. We volunteer to try to help the K-12 and contribute to our community. Unfortunately, the school board has gotten to be oddly politicized in the last few years. Hopefully that will settle down. It is our current moment. But it's inherently a really boring volunteer job, especially if you stay away from Facebook. We're here for policy, contract negotiations, provide safe learning space, and school budget. That's it. Most people, when you say school board, some people are talking about it, and they're like, well, my wife was talking about it. When we were little, they'd just meet in the library. No one would go, nobody was interested. It was a pretty quiet service, and everyone's tired, everyone's weary. There's a lot of different feelings. I'm hopeful after clear majorities that we can move forward as a community, and I'm hopeful that we can have a clean slate with some interactions with the board, and maybe people can consider that we have coworkers and family that read some of the comments that are made. But this is America, and you can say what you want, but I think we have a really special community. I'm very thankful for the folks that step up to any of our boards, the hundreds of volunteers that make our little community go. So I'm hoping that now the election's passed, and I'm going to borrow from Cam, our student rep, that we're mostly content with the outcome, that we can have some peace and just be neighbors, and agree to disagree civilly as we go forward. We were able to have some challenging conversations last year about masks in a very, very civilized way. We received some emails that were deeply upsetting and threatening. You know, there's a balance. Thankfully, in my experience, the more of it was civil and reasonable than uncivil, and I'm hoping we can just come together as a community in an unknown time in the world and go forward together. Putting you on the spot, do you want to talk about fire drill the other day, or should we move on from that? What happened?
I think we can just move on from that at this point in time.
Okay.
Again, anything to do with emergency management, I'd rather not
Okay.
speak to publicly.
Let's-
Just,
all right.
we shouldn't expose ourselves. If there are areas of weakness or concerns that we have, we should just address them.
Yeah.
Which we will do.
Thankfully, the vote yesterday will help us address some of those. School board topics. Anything you want to share with people's feedback on anything? I mean, certainly, I heard from a bunch of people today. Things you feel comfortable, interested in sharing, perspectives, whether it's the vote or the last month leading up to it?
I just want to publicly say thank you to the job that you guys did on the two plans for the school, Carrie and Andy, to bring two really good plans forward. I think it was a good vote by the community. Clearly, there was tons of flyers out there, so you can't say people weren't educated on both sides of the coin. And it's going to be nice to get those items fixed, and it was because of the hard work you and Andy did, so thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would just concur that I'm content with where we ended up. Obviously, I would have preferred that we, have a full, robust solution, but that's okay. I mean, I think this is encouraging. We clearly have majority support in the school district, which is most important for the community, in my opinion, and I think we have a way forward. I think this is a really positive step, and it's something to build on, so, we look forward to just moving ahead now.
Yeah, I'll throw in a few things, I guess. First of all, I would say I was encouraged that there were a couple of candidates that are parents of young students that picked up and stepped up and ran for school board this time around. At the end of the day, as Jesse alluded to, I think sometimes there's a disconnect between what the perception is of our function as a board and what it really is in reality. And so I would really encourage anyone who's interested in, running for the school board in the future to reach out to any of us. I think any of us would be happy to sit down and talk with anyone about what we do and how we function. And at the end of the day, Laura's here. Is Adrienne here? There she is, okay. Thank you for sticking your necks out, and you and your peers are the future of the school board, and so stay engaged, and again, reach out to us, and let us know if you have any questions. We'd be glad to answer them. As far as the present school board goes, it's great to have you back. It's great to have Andy back, and I think with where we're at with Article 7 passing, it's important that, from a continuity standpoint, we've got our CIP committee intact, and, we'll be able to move forward with that, and move on to the next steps in that process. So really appreciate all that you guys have done over the last several years to get this to the point where it's at. Finally, I want to pick up on a few of the themes that you mentioned, Jesse. I guess election time is a good time to look back, and I certainly have looked back at the last few years, and I think it's fair to say when each of us signed up for the school board, we probably had a fairly decent idea about what we were getting into, but we had no idea what we were getting into with school board plus COVID. And I think it's fair to say in the last couple of years, we've had everything but probably the kitchen sink thrown at us. I mean, it's been a time of it, that's for sure, and, you know, we've been thrown together to serve together during these unprecedented times, and, with all that we've been through together, I'm just really, really proud to have served with you guys. You're a special group of people, that's for sure, and, hopefully Andy is listening to us, so, you know, as Jesse said, we're a group of 5 volunteers and we only have the best of intentions.
Yeah, thanks for that. And in an uncertain time, the community was very clear that the safety issues at the elementary school are important. It takes a lot out of communities. It often takes 3 or 4 years, and there can be stress and there can be arguments. But we've navigated it. We navigated the best we could, and there's no playbook for being on school board during COVID and in these times. And I'm very appreciative that the community has decided to invest $5 million in the safety of the students, and we can make some, hopefully come together as a community around it. We can get rolling on fundraising. We can talk about that next month. There's a lot of goodwill, and hopefully we can let passion settle and move forward together. Action items. We have a school property.
Jesse, can I just, before we move on to action items, I just have one other thing that I wanted, more question for Russ, and maybe something that could be shared a little bit more regularly. I know that, Russ, you get a lot of right-to-know requests, and not that those are all to be publicly shared per se, but I would be really interested in understanding how much time you and all of the district staff, personnel, teachers, whomever has to be involved in compiling information, I would be really interested in understanding how much time is being spent on those, because I know we had a couple big ones that were pretty all-consuming. So I think that would be really interesting to know as a board, and to share with the public, to know what those efforts look like in an ongoing way somehow.
Maybe we did something quarterly?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't wanna create more work, but just some way, some idea of like, is this, are you spending 10% of your time, or whatever that looks like, I think is good information.
Yeah, if the public doesn't understand, we can get an email that ends up costing thousands of dollars in lawyers' fees to answer some of the questions. So I think if you're open to building that as you go, that would be great. Thanks for throwing that in. You guys good? We'll keep trucking. Thanks for all of you for being so vocal. Action items. We have a school property disposal request. You want to set the stage?
I certainly will. We have a school van that was purchased in 2014. That van has served us well, as you can see. We had purchased a new van last year. This van is sitting in up in the town shed. It doesn't get a whole lot of use. We had an offer to somebody to buy the van. We like to sell it. Our policy states that no equipment or supplies should be disposed of until permission has been received from the school board, and then you need to determine if there's a value to that. There's been an offer made. I've showed you the sort of the blue book value there. Remember, this is a school bus. Unless you repaint the whole thing, it will ever for say SAU 85 sort of sun marked on the side of that door. It's been driven by a numerous number of drivers and gone a lot of locations, and it certainly has a lot of miles on it. So I just need your permission to be able to continue the transaction.
I get a motion to motor vehicle sale.
I'll make a motion to allow the superintendent to sell the school property of the 2014 van.
Blue book value on a stop and go van with 195,000 miles. I think that's a nice way to handle it. All in favor of this motion, say aye. Thank you, appreciate it. Get a little money coming back.
And that just goes back as a, what's it called? It just goes back, the revenue goes back to the fund balance.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yep.
spent back, it goes right back to the fund.
Yep. And it's out of the garage.
It's out of the way.
Has a new life. Second action item, looking for a motion for the proposed extracurricular position for, Sunapee Nordic.
No, so,
Wait a minute.
So
No,
hold
I
on,
looked at the
so,
wrong thing, hang on, sorry.
proposal for Sunapee Middle High School extracurricular positions, the two positions that was given to me earlier today. And you may remember that they are now being named as the middle school softball coaches. There was a middle school softball coach, I think. That gentleman retired quickly when he was appointed, and Ben Carlton and James Walsh have stepped forward to fill those shoes.
So, yeah, I was looking at the field trip, thank you.
Yeah,
So, motion to accept the proposed extracurricular two positions, Carlton and Walsh.
I'll make a motion to accept them as coaches.
Second.
Discussion? Usually all of us say
Sure,
thank you.
the boys are gonna be sad, Russ, that you're not taking the helm.
the offer was made again, and I was happy enough to remember to say no, so.
Just for clarity, I think everyone was at the last meeting, but the athletic director put the superintendent's name in as the coach because we didn't have one, and nobody noticed it until the meeting, so. I still think that's pretty funny.
It was very fun.
All right, did we get an all in favor? We got an all in favor? All in favor? Okay, we got two new coaches who are giving more of their time, and we're very appreciative. Informational items, you wanna lead us with dealing with loss?
Sure, again, Walter gave a really great description of those moments here in our district and that are still in our district. Bill was beloved, he was in district for 20 years. There were some really hard conversations with Bill that have been leading up to this. There were conversations that I had with Bill on Monday. There were conversations I've had with Bill's family after this. Bill will never be replaced. He'll be missed, but he'll live on in the Sunapee School District forever. And my last conversation with Bill, and it's this typical Bill on Monday morning, was, "I'm sorry." He was apologizing to me, and that was a hard conversation to have, and just let him know he was loved, and he told me that he loves us all, and hopes the things go well with the school. And I think, as Walter stated, I can't say enough about our faculty. We hire folks, and we hire them for a purpose, and you say, okay, Walter, we have to have this plan, a potentially crisis, fire alarms, active shooter drills. Dealing with loss is a real thing that happens in schools, and it happens all the time. And the way our faculty stepped up and just did their job beyond, they all are dealing with, they all know Bill, they all have known Bill for a long time, and to put your sort of personal grief away and look at the needs of others, not only as kids, but as adults. We had a lot of adults that Bill had relationships with, and it was hard for a lot of adults in this district, and it's hard for a lot of adults in this community. So lots of credit for our staff, lots of empathy for Bill's family. We have been supporting them. We'll continue to support them in any way, shape we can. I know they're going to work with the SPTO on doing some things to help memorialize Bill, and he'll just always be a part of us. He'll always be a part of us.
Yeah, best to Sunapee, for sure. Thanks for that. Voting results, we sort of touched on them, but it's a chance to be a little bit more specific if the board wants to take a deep dive into discussion. I'm staying with the general that I was very thankful to the community for the teacher contract budget and the refreshing, making the elementary school safer. It's a good day in Sunapee schools. Do you want to add any particular? It's more of a tradition to get into this. I don't have it in me, but the floor is yours. If you guys want to make observations and opinions, this is a chance to do so. You don't have to.
So just, we start making these agendas a couple of weeks before, so not knowing where things are going to be, we just thought it was an appropriate topic, one way or the other, if folks want to dig into it.
Let's pass and keep trucking. Cross-country field trip, Sunapee Nordic.
So cross-country field trip, they are on the field trip right now. This goes back to our field trip policy. It's a standing field trip. They've done it in the past. I approve the field trip. I come to the next meeting and I'll let you know. So they will probably be back while we're sitting in this meeting. Maybe they already got back. Coach,
back.
how'd you do, Coach?
We got a third place team up
Nice. Well done. Well done.
Nice.
Thank you, Miles, for doing that. Miles has been running that program for 4 years, Miles? Eight, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
He breathed life back into it.
There you go.
Yes, you did.
Nice.
Thank you, Miles, and I hope this trip went well, and congratulations on third.
Yeah, thanks for what you're doing. Cross country, baseball, softball.
Anyone that went to the polls saw the tables of food and sauce and syrup. Baseball, softball team, this is a standing trip. Continue to go down the Cape. Tom lines up some games, Bonnie lines up some games. The Cape gets a little better weather than we do in early April. And so again, I've approved the trip and just bringing it here to let you know that they'll be going off in early April.
Nice. Hearing nothing from the board, we'll move to manifest. I need a motion for the AP manifest, and we'll do another round for the payroll manifest.
I'll make a motion to approve the manifest $2022-79,665.05 and 2022-16 $78,162.28.
I'll second that motion.
Well, really long, protracted discussion about this. No, I don't need it. All in favor of approving Ed's motion on AP manifest, please say aye. You wanna do a second round?
I'll make a motion to approve payroll manifest 2022-16, $244,817.83, 2022-17, $247,283.13, and 2022-18, $559,784.91.
Nicely done.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? Thank you. Agenda items for next meeting. Let's start with a moment of silence for Billy. Billy's stories are encouraged as people are feeling ready to talk about one of our town superheroes, quiet, humble superheroes.
We'll have the appointment of, we're in April, right?
Yep.
Okay, we'll have the appointment of teachers.
Yep, that's right.
All the teachers will be appointed. And I also, if I remember correctly, we try to load you guys up with our handbooks. I'm not sure if that's April or May. I'm just doing it quick.
I think it's usually April.
It's usually April. We do handbooks, athletic handbooks, all this. So we'll have a Debbie full of stuff for you to look at.
Give yourselves a couple hours.
As well.
It's pretty exciting.
We'll set tuition rate as well
Yep.
for the following year.
Yeah. And then I was already asked about today about fundraising, so we can have that as a topic. People want to support and understand what's going on and how they can direct that towards
Yeah, I was
the.
gonna ask if, so the SBTO has been organizing all the pledges, so is that relevant maybe to talk about that in the board meeting, or is that a SIP discussion with the SBTO?
Well, I reach out to the SBTO and see what they feel comfortable and whether they want to come and present at the board meeting, or it's something they want to go directly to the CIP committee with.
Yeah, let them guide with what they're comfortable with. They did a great job. And I think there's more interest in it now, which is great. So I didn't have anything else. Do you? We'll have plenty.
You'll have a lot.
Yeah.
Be a lot.
Yeah, it's heavier lifting than tonight.
Mr. Holden, or, can we say graduation date?
We
That time?
certainly do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
The school board needs to go into non-public, so we have a formal process for that. There's not anything to discuss after, so we're gonna go into non-public, come out of non-public to an empty room, and then look for a motion to close the meeting and leave. Some boards do non-public during the meeting. We choose to wait to the end so that the folks that are here can hear every word that's public. I think it's just more courteous, I guess, is how I think of it. So we need to go into non-public for provision 91-A semicolon 3 IIC matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the body or agency itself, unless such person requests an open meeting. So can I get a motion to go into non-public? Okay, I mentioned the 91-A3. I need seconded, and then we go roll call. Seconded by Ed, so him, Carrie. I love rules. Just give me a second to think while I do this. Okay, we'll go roll call. Can you say your name, say your full name?
Edward Anderson.
Okay, great.
Scott Richmond.
Yep. Jesse Tyler. Okay, so this concludes the public portion of this meeting. We appreciate the engagement of the community. We appreciate the participation at the polls and hope for lots of civility and neighborliness going forward. Thank you very much.